Okay, what's up, everybody? We're live. We'll just let it breathe for a brief second. Bring on Facebook. Yes, indeed, it has happened. I've somehow twisted Scott's arm. He's back on the show. We just got to let this connect. Welcome in, everybody, to this episode. It's not Mile High Insiders per se, because neither Luke or Tom could make it tonight. So it's just the Chad and Scott show. I'm Chad. That's Scott. Scott, welcome back to the airwaves here at MHH, bro.
Hey, it's good to be here other than just, typing away in the background, trying to distract you while you're on. And then every once in a while, I'll pop in and saying, hey, you're muted. Come back in. So hello, everybody. It's good to see you.
Yeah, that's a problem of mine every once in a while because I'll mute and then I'll go off screen to like check a tweet or something we're paying attention to, and then I forget to unmute. But yeah, Scott's in the room almost every night, guys. He's just not on camera, and that's the way it is. Like Denver Luke's stoked to see you. Great to have you, buddy. Denver Luke was a huge fan.
Denver Luke supports our show on my channels too. So yeah. we go way back, and thank you for everything, Luke. Appreciate you.
Yeah, good to see you, buddy. Thank you for the support. Chase, great to see you, Scott. Haven't heard any of your thoughts on the Broncos since last spring. So I'm dying to hear what you think so far. Well, Scott, since we're kind of in a bye anyway, and we can, pause, take a breath, and look back, take stock, so to speak. How are you feeling about the 9-2 Broncos?
There's a lot. I mean, I could monologue on this for probably an hour, talking about the thoughts on it. Part of it was, part of my thoughts are, and I've told y'all this before as Denver Bronco fans, having grown up as a Cleveland-born Atlanta sports fan, I've experienced a lot of sports trauma in my life. And I have said with love that Broncos fans are spoiled more than once. And as these wins are piling up, win fourth in a row, win 5 in a row, and I'm in the background listening to people just bitching and moaning and complaining. Like, guys, you're 6-2, you're 7-2, and then finally and I think part of it's just the competition. You can win and still not feel good about it. Like, yeah, but if we play the Chiefs, if we play the Bills, if we play the Colts, or we play one of these top teams, we can't win like this. I understand that, but I've got some stats I've put in that I've typed in the background before. I want to talk about this defense a lot, but the bottom line, a Twitter version of what I think about this team. You've got the best defense in the NFL. You've got an arrogant SOB winning assassin as your head coach with the clutch gene on offense, and you've got a hell of a kicker, and mostly good special teams. The only bugaboos are sometimes the slow start and some of the penalties, but you're winning in every phase of the game. And even if one of them isn't clicking, you're not losing 2 out of 3 phases. Okay, we missed a field goal, but the defense did good and the offense picked it up. Well, the defense didn't play their best game today, but the offense did. The special teams picked it up. So it's it's a team effort. It's when you consider that 15 months ago, the Denver Broncos took on the largest dead cap hit in the history of this game, and they're still doing it. And they're 10-7, 8-2, or is it 9-2 now? So we'll just say 9-2.
9-2.
19-9 while taking on $85 million in cap hit with a rookie quarterback. Are you joking me? Remember the conversations we had about is a coach worth a first-round pick? Anybody want to argue with me again?
Yeah, that seems like ancient history now, bro. But that was always something that you not advocated for per se, but we're like, hey, if it's for the right guy, and turns out for the Broncos, Sean Payton, right guy.
There are very few draft picks in the history of this game that are worth a Hall of Fame coach. And, going back to he only won 1 Super Bowl with Drew Brees. Are you kidding me? The Saints were the worst franchise in the NFL by some distance before Sean Payton came up. Winning the Super Bowl with Drew Brees is Vanderbilt winning a college football playoff, except they're dumb instead of smart kids. So it's what they did in New Orleans was astounding. Yep. And he did it when the NFC South was good. All 4 teams in a 10-year span went to the Super Bowl. So it was what he did Sean Payton's a hell of a coach, and he should be in the Hall of Fame one day.
No doubt about it. He's a little crotchety at times, and he's
I
very
said
blunt.
it when you were hiring people. He's an a-hole, but he's your a-hole, so who cares?
That's right. Chase, thank you, buddy. It's really good to see you. We're all excited to have Scott with us tonight. It's fun. Papa Bear jumping in. Thank you for the continued undying support, big dog. We love you. We appreciate you every single night. Good evening, Broncos country. He says hashtag 13-4 plus. David, thank you, big dog. Really stoked to see everybody. Tucson Phil in the house. Good evening, Chad and Deacon Scott. Good Lord, it's Scott. Welcome. What is the chance we pick somebody up during this bye week? Well, I don't know, but they'll do workouts, they'll do all the regular stuff. But Scott, it was kind of interesting. It's at least worth a talking point here at the top of the show. But the New Orleans Saints mutually parted ways with Brandon Cooks, so he will hit the waiver wire. Now, as it stands, now Scott, you might correct me if I'm wrong on this because I did a little research on it today. All right, but if it's between weeks 1 and 3, the waiver wire order is based on how the preceding season ended, right? So the team that won the Super Bowl, they're dead last, and so on and so forth. So it's basically like the draft, okay? Like order of the draft. After week 3, it falls to whatever the current records are. So the Broncos technically right now at 9-2 are the 1 seed in the AFC. There are no 9-win NFC teams. So the way I see it, they're probably 32 in the waiver wire order. Doubt if he gets claimed, Scott, he's making it to the Broncos. But let's say he doesn't get claimed, Broncos don't claim. Would you want to see the Broncos? Would it make sense, in your opinion, Scott, for Brandon Cooks at 32 years old to reunite with Sean Payton?
So someone, I think Roy just said, he's already been picked up. I don't know if he has. I don't think he has.
Not that I've seen.
Does it make sense? I mean, here's the question. First off, he's old enough that I covered him when he was coming out of high school. I remember writing in his bio. He's from California, up north of LA. I remember writing in his bio, has run away from you speed. That was the one thing I remember about him, and he's gone on to a great career. Is he the same guy? No, he's not. And the thing is, Phil, anytime you talk about picking somebody up, you have to ask yourself the question, who are you cutting? Who are you cutting to add Brandon Cooks? You cutting, and especially if I'm going to do it the wide receiver room. Am I cutting Marvin Mims? Nope. Am I cutting Troy Franklin? Nope. Am I cutting Pat Bryant? Nope. Am I cutting Cortland Sutton? Nope. Okay, so where's he play? And then if I put him on the 53, whose snaps is he taking? Do I want him taking Marvin Mims snap? Nope. Do I want him taking Troy? I can just go through the whole thing again.
Yep.
So, and if you can sign him to a practice squad, but he doesn't want to go to a practice squad, or he wouldn't have taken his release. He wants to go play somewhere. So I don't think he necessarily makes sense. So again, we're going to add somebody. Well, how and who and why? So you're always looking for guys on the back end of the 53 for tweaks, injuries, practice squads, et cetera, et cetera. But am I going to add somebody that's actually going to make a difference to this team? No. You're not. It's not going to happen at this time of year. It's late. It's late.
Yeah. So there you have it. Pardon me. There you have it, Phil. Kind of interesting. And, there is that allure. A lot of Broncos fans were interested in it. The fact that Cooks had a couple of 1,000-yard campaigns with Sean Payton before they traded him for a first-round pick, by the way, to the New England Patriots. But he's 32. He hasn't done much of note for about 4 years. So do you really need him coming in when you just brought in Lil Jordan Humphrey? And Humphrey, you brought him back, I should say. And he can block. He can do kind of everything well, okay. But his forte is he can block. And now the Broncos, Scott, have to make a decision on what to do with Mercedes Lewis, because last week against the Chiefs was his 3rd practice squad elevation. So they either got to sign him to the 53 or expose him to the waiver wire.
Yeah, and again, so who do you want off of the team? And some of this happens naturally. You have some surprises, right? Thoughts with Alex Singleton. You have some surprises out there. Injuries happen all the time, but for the most part, the Denver Broncos have been. I don't want to jinx it. They're not. I don't think I will. I'm not in Denver. This isn't my team. I'm only a jinx for my team. They've been healthy. And when we talked about the variance from year to year on health is one thing, but when you're 4 years in a row missing the most player games, something's wrong. And you go from last to first for 2-3 years in a row for player games missed.
Yeah.
Something has changed, and it's not the altitude. Delta, Mile High, Denver didn't get any lower. I was in Denver a week ago, believe it or not, y'all. So I got to see I was at the Air Force Academy and got to see Nick and got to see the Bronco at the state. And it's the culture is so different. I come to Atlanta and I look up as I'm leaving Atlanta, I look up and there's a Patriots 30 for 30 playing on the monitor and the thing. I land in Denver and Garrett Bowles is giving me a welcome. Your all-pro left tackle from the Denver Broncos. Go Broncos, giving me a welcome in the train. I'm like,
right.
Culture, man, culture.
That's right. That's another example of how Broncos fans are spoiled. Like it's a religion in and around Colorado, Denver, the Rockies, and everywhere else. Like wherever Broncos fans exist, that's one of the things that I've noticed, Scott, over the years that we've been doing the media thing and being on networks, and it took me time to learn this, but we always know the bigger teams that travel, like the Cowboys, the Steelers, the Packers, etc. But there's some fan bases are way more crazy also about their crazy in a good way, more passionate, more involved, more plugged in, staying on top of everything all 12 months of the year. And Broncos country is definitely one of those. And I love it. I absolutely
and let's think it from a geographical standpoint. LA hasn't always had a team. Oakland, has been a good rivalry, but you've been basically unopposed from Oakland to Kansas City. That is a big swath of area in this country, and if you've got the success to go with it and you're on TV in that area the whole time, you will pick up those fans. The Atlanta Falcons had a similar chance. There wasn't anybody from Cincinnati to Tampa to New Orleans. They got Tennessee, Kentucky football country, and instead I mentioned the Saints as being the worst franchise. The Buccaneers and Falcons were 31st and 30th in that area. Now, now they ended up having to compete with college football. So Denver has taken advantage of some of the natural advantage they've had. Yeah.
No doubt about it. You were talking about health and some good news. We titled tonight's episode around this is, we heard the signs were all pointing toward positivity around Patrick Surtain being available coming out of the bye. And it doesn't take a Sherlock Holmes to realize that as well. Otherwise, they would have put him on IR. They chose not to because they obviously expect him back in time for what would have been the fourth game he would have been required to miss. So that's Washington. Jeremy Fowler reported, Zach wrote this up today. He reported that, quote, Broncos are optimistic that both Alex Singleton and Patrick Surtain can make it back into the lineup week 12. So following the bye. So there's some good news. Additionally, Scott, on the health front.
Alex Singleton. God bless him, man. Who's not going to be an Alex Singleton fan for the rest of our lives? Yeah. Goodness gracious. And here's to advanced screening. We hear these guys, well, I didn't know what I was taking. He got busted for what, an elevated human HGH. Well, I'm not taking that. This is BS. And he was right. Unfortunately or fortunately, he was being honest, but he was honest, but it was,
red flag.
Yeah, this is bad. So, it's just an amazing story. And, we've given him plenty of shtick for his limitations as a player, but he's been what do we say? It's DGD down here in the South, a damn good dog. Yeah. He's a DGB is Alex Singleton for sure. And speaking of defense, talking about the health, it's awesome to think of when you hear these teams that are losing and all the excuses. Well, they didn't have a blah, blah, blah. They didn't have a blah, blah, blah. I said this morning. Yeah. Well, the Denver Broncos lost their captain green dot shot caller in the middle of the field to testicular cancer. He was out. They've been playing without their defensive player of the year for several weeks, and they're in the middle of a 7-game winning streak. Their left guard, I believe, has been out for a while now too.
Yep.
Their starting center or their starting running back was out. And what do? Oh, they just go beat the Chiefs. That's it for their 7th win in a row. I don't hear it. Everybody has injuries. Good teams adapt and overcome, and they've got a system in place and a culture in place where it truly does become next man up, and they've got the depth to do it. And again, to do that in the midst of an $85 million dead cap hit is astounding. It really is.
No doubt about it. It's an achievement. And hey, Broncos still have 6 games left to go, but you got to be feeling pretty good about this team's outlook moving forward, especially on the heels of that hugely symbolic and confidence-inspiring victory over the Chiefs, who, yeah, Sean Payton's got his here and there. He beat him once fair and square with Mahomes the first year with Russ, beat the JV team last year in the season finale. And this time with Bo Nix, they got him for good, I think. Not in the sense that the Chiefs are going away, but Scott, you got to wonder how much longer Andy Reid's going to keep at it. I mean, if they don't make the playoffs, which right now, by the way, guys, they're 2 games behind the 7th seed. So there's a distinct possibility they're at 500, 5-5. If they don't make the playoffs this year, knowing what we know about Andy Reid, I don't imagine that he's going to walk away with a bad taste like that in his mouth. So the Chiefs aren't going away, but it was symbolic, Scott, and I think it's pointing toward there is a changing of the guard. They don't just dominate the division anymore.
That's what I was going to say, Chad, was it's not the days of what was the streak? Was it 14?
9.
It was 9?
16 games, 9 straight AFC titles.
It was 16 straight games. Those days are history. Yep. Those days are gone. It's not a fluke anymore if Denver were to win a game just to, hey, we won 1 out of 10 and now it's back to business as usual because they threw 4 interceptions in the rain. No, you expect it to be a dogfight when they go against each other. And you know, I don't necessarily say it because things can bounce up and down so quickly. I don't necessarily want to say a changing of the guard, but last year, I don't think it's really a hot take to say that the Kansas City Chiefs were a mediocre team that were champions. They know how to win. They knew how to win close games. I mean, how many of those games came down to the last minute? The Broncos are doing some of that this year themselves.
Right.
Last minute, last drives, pulling things out, one score victories, et cetera, et cetera. And again, Denver's doing that. I think they're probably still a year ahead of where we expected them to be. Last year's like, okay, let's get it together with get rid of Russ, get the quarterback in place, be competitive. Year 2, which is this year, let's go 10-7 and make the playoffs. Year 3, we're really competing. So I still think they're a year ahead. Agreed. And part of it, like I said, is because they know how to win games. They've got good special teams. You know, I've heard the complaints about Rizzy, but Lutz is a good kicker and Marvin Mims is a hell of a return man. Those go a long way. Bo Nix is when he isn't thinking, he's really, really good.
Yeah.
You know, just grip it and rip it and play, which is what happens when you get into 2-minute drills. And then the defense. Chad, I wanted to hit some of the stats on this defense just to highlight how good it is.
Absolutely.
Okay. I saw someone else pop in. Mark Kennedy, good to see you. Go Broncos.
No relation.
No relation. I don't. Of all of the names, I mean, I'm related to like 50 Kennedys. I don't think I have a Mark Kennedy in the family. My father-in-law is Mark. One of my on my mom's side, I've got a Mark, but I don't think there's any Mark Kennedys in the family. Well, we're related. So you hear number 1 defense, right? You hear that, the number 1 defense, and there's different categories of defenses, and there, DVOA, EPA, ABC, EFG. Right. The alphabet soup, all that kind of stuff. But there's a couple things that really stand out to me about this defense. And you heard Vance Joseph say it, and I'm not going to argue with him. What's the key? 3rd down, red zone. Okay. And he says the Broncos happen to be number 1 in both of them, but they're not just number 1, Chad. They're not just number 1. Okay. 3rd down conversions. The Denver Broncos are 28.9%. Okay. Well, that's number 1, so that must be good. But what do you mean? What does that mean? I need some context. I need some perspective on this. Okay. Well, number 2 is 33.7%. So there's a difference of first and second of 4.8%. 4.8%. If I take 4.8% and add it to number 2 all of a sudden becomes 15.
Wow.
So the Denver Broncos, the second team in third down conversions in the NFL is closer, as close. It's the exact same distance to being 15th as they are number one. That's how good Denver Broncos third down defense has been. Number two is that the gap is 2 to 15 is the same distance as 1 to 2. So when I always do rankings, I like line graphs. I can look at a line graph and see it's relatively flat. Well, how could you, according to your recruiting rankings, this is the 21st team. Yeah, but they got this, they're this almost the exact same points as number 5. What this is saying is there's not much difference between 5 and 15. What this is saying is there's a huge gap between the Denver Broncos at number 1 and everybody else.
Everyone else, yep.
And that's astounding. This defense is so much fun to watch.
And that
comes from
applies
everywhere. Jaquan McMillan this week he'll bring it. Vance Joseph will bring it from everywhere and anywhere.
That applies to the sacks too, right? Like, I haven't looked at it since week 12, but
I put that one up here too. I've got those too.
Yeah, dude, break it down.
So, sacks. Broncos are number 1 in sacks. We know that. At 49. And it's actually slowed down a little bit, it feels like, until did they have another game where they, got 80 sacks? Number 2, believe it or not, it's actually the Atlanta Falcons, who are like the worst sacking team in any time frame you could possibly think of. But one of the differences is the Falcons have the second highest blitz rate in the NFL. So they're having to go after it, and the Broncos are around 9 or 10. The Broncos have 49 sacks. The Falcons have 34. So the difference there is 15. So if I go from 34, who's number 2 in the Atlanta Falcons, and I take away 15 sacks for that same difference, I get to 24 and 25. Dude. The gap between the Denver Broncos in sacks between 1 and 2 is the same distance as 2 and 25. They're lapping the field, Chad. They are absolutely lapping the field, and they're not having to blitz their eyeballs out to do it.
That's crazy, dude. And yeah, you're right. It feels like the sacks slowed down a little, but I mean, they did get to Mahomes 3 times. It was their second game of the season with 3 or fewer sacks. The other game was exactly 3 sacks. So in other words, their season low is 3 sacks. But when you also, Scott, are consistently notching 5, 6, 7, 8 sacks in a game, it adds up fast.
You asked me how many times are you going to sack Dak Prescott? And I held up this in the background.
Yeah.
3, because he normally takes about 1.5 a game is what he averages. Let's double that.
Yeah.
So Mahomes is tough to sack. Dak Prescott is tough to sack. You doubled what they are normally getting. And ask Mahomes if he was comfortable in the pocket. You're not always going to sack those guys. Dan Marino had vision beyond belief and could flick his wrist and the ball was out of there. He was one of the hardest guys, immobile, and one of the hardest guys in the history of this game to sack. But you can affect him. Mm-hmm. You can affect him. And by God, Patrick Mahomes was affected negatively again. 19 points again. Yep. The last one that I pulled up, the number 1, is red zone defense. Now, this one isn't quite as drastic, kind of. The red zone defense for the number 1 Denver Broncos, who are number 1 in red zone, is 35.7% conversion rate. So teams are about 1 out of 3 times teams are punching in the end zone. Number 2 are the Rams at 43.8. So the difference there is still 8.1%. The difference from 2 and 8.1% added to theirs doesn't go all the way down to 25 like it does in sacks, but it does go to 8th. But you know what's interesting? What did I say their red zone defense was? 35.7. How many teams in the NFL are below 50%, Chad? Take a guess.
Ooh. Red zone?
Red zone. How many teams in the NFL? The Broncos are number 1 at 35.7.
Yep.
How many teams in the NFL allow less than 50% red zone touchdown percentage?
5.
4.
4. And you're at 35, and you're almost half of it. You're halfway underneath it. Dude.
Those are mind-boggling numbers that this defense is doing. And they're the reason why you can struggle a little bit in the first half on offense. You can work your rookie quarterback. I mean, it's second year, but I mean rookie, and then progress to the second year when Jaden Daniels is getting beat up and isn't playing. And CJ Stroud in his third year is regressing a little bit, even though Houston's defense is really good too. But we've seen some of these guys backtrack a little bit in year 2. And here's Bo Nix, who's not making the big mistakes, not taking many negative plays, keeping his game in it. You say, all he has to do is just not lose it. Well, that's his game for 3 quarters.
Yeah.
Don't lose it for 3 quarters and then let's go make a play and win the game. And the defense is going to keep you in it.
So all that being said, and good job digging that stuff up and the perspective on it, people are going, man, listen, I got to put a pin in what I was going to say. I want to grab Tyler. Goes, I know Scott probably just covering down, but man, I miss you talking about the Broncos. Let's go, Broncos. Defense wins championships. Thank you, Tyler. I'm sure Scott misses you as well. But Scott, what I was going to say is, the Broncos, is there a lot of people have been bringing it up in the chat. Some members, I want to credit the first person I saw advocate for it was Cullen Dunham, that, hey, the Broncos have the richest owners in the NFL. What if they just give the bag to VJ to keep him around? You're a guy that's been around the sport a long time and many different facets of it. Is there even a snowball's chance in hell that's possible in your opinion? Not possible, but probable, like in the cards.
That would be up to the individual. Does he want the headache of doing it again? Or I just want to run, these guys are competitors. They really are. But he's gotten a taste of what a pain in the ass it can be in charge. So it depends on what does he want. There's a lot, especially the defensive guys, it seems like, just the way they're built, Chad, that you can get lifetime defensive coordinators. That doesn't happen so much on offense.
Right.
On offense, those guys, they I don't know what it is about the defensive mentality versus offensive mentality. The offensive guys are more control freaks and want to be in charge and want to have every aspect of it, where the defensive guys are more chaos merchants. I want to break stuff.
Yeah.
So it would depend on him. He's gotten a taste of what it's like to have to be in front of the camera all the time and knowing about the contracts and doing all of these things that is asked of a head coach, the personnel, the contracts, the depth charts, et cetera, as opposed to, I don't have to, I can just coach. I got in this because I want to coach. I can be a mad scientist and I can study and do all these things. And I'm going to have more money than I've ever needed in my whole life. And I got a good situation. Yep. So it depends on him. It's possible. But there's also, again, to make it to this level, you've got to be extremely competitive and pretty damn egotistical. Yeah. And when someone comes along and says, I want you to be in charge, come run my team, it's hard to turn down. It is.
With a big, massive pay raise that goes along with it.
Yeah, and he knows that who wouldn't hire him? If it goes belly up in 3 years, he's got a job immediately if he wants to go back and do it again.
Yeah.
And he'll have more money than he's already put more money in his pocket than he'll ever need in a lifetime.
Yeah. He made, I think, something like $12 million with the Broncos the first time around. But yeah, I mean, there are historical points where it's happened before. You guys have heard me mention rereading Son of Bum for the Broncos book club with the members. He talks about when he was the Dallas Cowboys head coach, Jason Garrett got some play as the offensive coordinator and was offered the Baltimore Ravens job, the same job that John Harbaugh ended up getting, because Garrett turned it down because Jerry Jones, ponied up and paid him to stay as OC, what the Ravens were willing to pay him as the head coach. And so it happens. There are precedents for it. But from what I've heard from VJ, multiple points from when this first started getting broached to him, let's say within about the last year, and especially recently, it sounds like he's really relishing the opportunity to go do it again. So does that mean, depends on how things probably too, Scott, turn out this season. Like if they have one of those just wild all the way, type of situations, and hey man, we got the young quarterback, almost everybody on our defense is young. Let's turn this into a dynasty. It's possible, but just from what he's said, it sounds like that's where his heart's at. Not that he wants to leave the Broncos, it's that he wants to be a head coach again, like you said, Scott, his ambition.
And knowing that I did it and it didn't work out and what I would do differently now.
Yeah.
What, that's part of it also. Again, you don't make it to this level without being a workaholic, obsessive, compulsive I slept on, coaches' couches as an intern from ages 20 to 25 years old to do this. And I got my shot and it didn't work out. There's some, I guess the best phrase for it would be unfinished business that he might think he needs to give it another shot to. So again, it doesn't happen very often. And when we're talking about, well, there is precedent for this, I would guess the multiples weren't 5 and 6 times.
Right. Exactly.
What it was now.
It's
like
changed a lot, even in that time frame.
$15-16 million, and the top assistants are making 2 or 3, where it might have been 4 million versus 2 million, or 4 million versus 1.5 is the difference now. So it's all life-changing money, but he's the next, if you were to take a head coaching job, it's another $20 million in his pocket minimum.
Yep. And he's not the only one, by the way. Today we heard from Tom Pelissero. He dropped a list of the a hot list, so to speak, of head coaching candidates under the age of 45. So VJ wasn't on that list because he's older than that. But guess who was? A few names, including at the top, Davis Webb, who had some sniffs back in January. It sounded more like coordinator gigs, but he was linked to the New Orleans head coaching job. I don't know how much there really was to that, to be honest with you. I didn't really think the reporting on it was that solid. But Scott, because he's not an offensive coordinator, he's a pass game coordinator, but it doesn't have the same protections for the Broncos where they could block. So like offensive coordinator, if he gets the right job, he could go, but he's being bandied about as like a matter of course. It's going to happen, could happen this year, future head coach candidate. But I don't know if I see that, Scott, right away, just because, as you mentioned, the offense, hey man, they get it done when the chips are down. It's been a little stutter stop though. It's kind of been up, down, consistency. He's not exactly the coordinator, but I guess the biggest reflection, Scott, on his candidacy as a potential guy moving up the upward mobility chain is Bo Nix. And Bo Nix, he's kind of been up and down, but again, gets it done when the chips are down.
It's more about Sean Payton. It's more about, if there's one thing, the NFL is probably most crazy about young quarterbacks. They're the most quarterback crazy thing in the world. The next thing is young coaches. Joe Brady got head coaching interviews because he was getting Sean Payton coffee for a year or two. And then a year later, he's offensive coordinator at LSU. That's how he gets this job. And he's got, arguably the best wide receiving core in the history of the game. And they do really well. And all of a sudden he's getting head coaching jobs. Anybody that comes out from under Sean McVay, even though Sean McVay is the one calling all the plays.
Yep.
Every year or two, there's a new head coach coming out from under there. So Davis taking this job was a reflection on his talent and the fact that, hey, Sean Payton likes this guy. He's being groomed under Sean Payton. We want a Sean Payton, and we can't get Sean Payton, so we'll take the 33-year-old version of him. He's probably not even that old. He's probably like 29. But we want the young version of Sean Payton. That's what we're going for. And, it's inevitable. It's inevitable. So the bigger question is, I've seen people say, Joe Lombardi, well, I want that offense. I'm like, well, yeah, you're not getting that offense unless you get Sean Payton. That's the problem with going after Lombardi. But an unproven, the hope and dreams of the young up and comer with the upside is more tantalizing to the NFL right now.
It's kind of crazy too that, like you said, it's the Sean Payton effect. Last year, a no-name position coach named Declan Doyle, who coached the Broncos tight ends, was plucked out of Denver by the newly hired Ben Johnson to come be his offensive coordinator. He's another name that's getting bandied about alongside Webb now. He was literally a no-name guy last year. Like 90% of the league, if you say that name, no one knows who Declan Doyle is a year ago. But Ben Johnson saw something, and now he's probably, if the Bears keep doing something, Scott, if they keep moving forward, he's probably pretty close as well. Ronk, what's up, bro?
Hey, how you doing, Michael? Good to see you again. Probably saw you this morning, so it's good to see you again. And as always, appreciate all the support, and thanks for being a Mile High Huddle member as well. Phil coming in also Says, what do we do if VJ leaves? I think that's already. Let's come back to that one, Phil. I'm gonna come back because we're finishing up on offense here. Because I think you've kind of already got your guy lined up if you have if Vance is to leave. When I'm looking at you look at trees because Sean McVay's spitting out an offensive a coach all the time. Sean Payton is still that guy also if you can find him young enough, and that might be one of the reasons he brings in a guy he trusts like Joe Lombardi. I'm like, nobody's going to hire Joe Lombardi to be head coach right now.
Yep.
He does exactly what I need him to do.
Yep.
It's my offense, but I need help, and he helps me. So you're going to lose. Who are some of the others? But when I'm looking at, who gets plucked is find the defensive head coaches who are successful, who have successful offenses. And that's one of the problems with having a defensive head coach. If you're any good, you'll be lucky to keep your guy more than 1 year, and you're not keeping him more than 2.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay's about to lose their 3rd straight offensive coordinator to a head coach. You go up and Mike McDonald's doing a great job in Seattle. Kubiak will probably be a head coach next year, another defensive guy. The Harbaughs, John Harbaugh's a defensive guy, so who doesn't get hired is a lot of the times is the guy who's holding the clipboard for the offensive head coach.
Yep. And that guy, in another name, I should say, and he's the assistant head coach, but he got a promotion last year to kind of sweeten his situation to prevent him from leaving. And that's Zach Strief, who a year ago was the offensive line coach, but then got promoted to run game coordinator and then also assistant head coach. He's a guy, Scott, I could see also because of that Sean Payton sizzle going on to maybe first stop being offensive coordinator somewhere and then maybe a head coach. But guys, we got a built-in coordinator. If VJ leaves, is he going to be anywhere near as good? I mean, the personnel's there, but coaching continuity scheme, one of his strengths, Vance Joseph, similar to Wade Phillips, what really made Wade Phillips so good was his situational play calling and that study, and then just knowing based on the study his gut in game to call the right looks and the right blitzes or the right rushes or the right coverage. And that is, of course, Jim Leonard, who's coaching the secondary.
What did I know? What did I see in advance to know that I could turn Jaquan McMillan loose and he could have such the nickel blitz? When did that become? That's not the Broncos' forte. When I think of, watch out for the nickel blitz. That's not what I think of when I think 49 sacks. I think, my God, it could come from anywhere, and it doesn't need to be the jailbreak. I'm not 7-7 guys and dropping 4 and just matching up one-on-one and hoping. I can do that because I've got Pat Surtain back there. I got Riley Moss, McMillan if he's in coverage, and I got 2 pretty good safeties. I can send 6. They don't have to. I mean, the Broncos blitz a lot, but they're strategic with their blitzes. And then they've invested so well on the back side of their defense with the guys they've got. And you've got 2 first-round picks in the secondary now. Yeah. McMillan was a draft pick. He's
a free agent
guy, but that was a couple years ago. But he was a guy that has overplayed his draft slot. Yes. You went and got a couple free agents in Brandon Jones and Tufanga, who are playing well, and then they're coached well, and then you're really good up front. So it's all the pieces are there, and you didn't think that's the thing is you didn't think they were 2 years ago. You're looking at these guys. I'm like, okay, I got a 7th round pick at one edge. I got a 145-pound 65th pick and Nick Bonito at the other edge. And Zach I was a big fan of Zach. And then DJ Jones, nice place, free agent for $10 million. He wasn't overly expensive when you brought him in. Nope. John Franklin Myers, a one-away guy from the Jets. Who's this guy?
Yeah.
Alex Singleton, you pick him up. He's not even on a team. And they just, it works. It just works. So, I've said before, if you're just watching this for the first time and, you hadn't seen what I had said in the past, I was surprised that George Payton was kept. Sean Payton's an egomaniac, and I was surprised he kept a guy in place.
Yeah.
Especially one that had hired, oh my God, I'm old. I forget things that have happened in the recent past. Hackett, thank you. It's like I can remember what happened in first grade, but I don't remember what happened a year ago. Forgot Hackett. You hired Hackett. You traded for Russ. You gave Russ a huge extension. Those are 3 fireable offenses. And then you bring in a new egomaniac general manager type like Sean Payton. I was surprised that George Payton was still around.
Yep.
Fast forward now, and this team is talented, deep, young, and there's money to be spent. It's everything you want out of your general manager.
Makes you wonder what Sean Payton saw in George Payton. But yeah, that was always a big question. I was surprised as well. We got Chaos, the Mega Monarch, jumping in on Super Chat. Welcome. Thank you, pal. And he says, Chat, it's always a pleasure, buddy. But the Deacon gracing us with his on-screen presence after a dragon's age. Hope all is well, Scott. 9-2, babies.
Dragon Age was one of my all-time favorite PS3 games. Believe it or not, Chaos, Mega Monarch. Yeah, I'm an old D&D guy too. I was a math guy, and so it was fun. So Dragon's Age made me think of that. I burned a hole in one of my televisions with the logo was up there so much. So thank you so much for the super, and thanks to all of you for the welcome back. It's good to be back. I miss y'all too.
It's fun to have Scott back in the house. George, great pod tonight as always, guys. Thanks. Good to see Scott. Hit the thumbs up. Really appreciate it. Let's grab a few member comments here. We got a few more minutes to go. I saw one here. Let's see. Pro 16. Indy will end up being the 3rd seed, and the Broncos and the Patriots will end up tied for 1st seed. Broncos get the 1 seed. That's how I see it happening. Do you see, Scott, right now, the longest win streak in the NFL is shared by the Broncos and the Patriots with 8 straight wins. Do you see the Patriots sustaining that maybe is there enough of foundation? They got momentum, but is there enough there in the same way that maybe the Broncos do?
We're going to find a lot more out about the Colts over the next month. It's been all and good for them. They're playing. Daniel Jones is playing really well. It seems like in the recent past, one quarterback has had a resurrection season. Geno Smith in Seattle, Sam Darnold with the Vikings. This year it's Daniel Jones's turn. And, that 8-2, but, you look at, they've won 5 out of the last 6. Okay. Raiders and shoot, even they started, their best win obviously was the Broncos, but that was so early. What you can even tell, they've beaten the Titans twice. Yippee. They lost at Rams. They beat the Raiders. They beat the Cardinals, lost at Steelers, beat the Falcons. Their next games coming up are at Chiefs, who are desperate and a solid team.
Yep.
Versus a rejuvenated Houston Texans team who started off 0-3, are now 5-5. So they're 5-2 in the last 7 games. At Jaguars, who are a quality opponent this year. And then at Seahawks, against the 49ers, against the Jaguars, at Texans. Their next 8 games or 7, I can't do the math on 17 games, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Are harder than all but one of their first 9.
Yeah.
So if they go 3-3 out of that bunch, again, I can't do math. 17 games has totally screwed me. 3-4, they're still 11-6, which is way above what you were expecting. You take that. If I offered you 11, if I offered the Colts fans 11-6 in August, they would have ripped my hand off for it.
No doubt.
But it'd be a little bit disappointing. But I can see 3-4 with an 11-6 finish. And then you talk about the Patriots, man, I still don't know how good they are. I really don't. They've got the belief now is what helps, I think. But and the win at Tampa was probably their best win of the year. But they've won what? They are 9-2 and they've won 7 in a row as well. Panthers at Bills. When the Bills were right in their little mini, the Bills got whipped by the Falcons the next week, who haven't won a game since. At Saints, 2-8. At Titans, tanking. Browns, enough said. Against the Falcons, enough said. At Buccaneers, that was a good win. Tampa's a solid team, especially in Tampa. Yep. And then against the Jets, meh. But you finish off and you go at Bengals. We don't know what the hell they're doing right now. The Giants are already looking towards next year. The Bills will be tough again. At Ravens, at Jets versus Dolphins. So, I can see them winning. How many do they have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 games left. I could see 4-2 out of that, and 13-5 or 13-4 makes sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know how good they are. Again, I don't know that there's not a superpower team this year. There's a lot of good and there's some awful. There's just some dreadful relegation fodder at the bottom, should be kicked out of the league teams. But there's not, it's open. It's wide open this year, I think.
David Youngkin, thanks for being the awesome member that you are. VJ's defense, so hard to figure out. So if we play the Patriots, our defense will be better than the Patriots. Our defense is better than anybody else's defense. That's a fact, big dog. Boot Boy. Okay, yeah. I wondered if it was you, dude, because of the chaos. And then, of course, kind of your vernacular. But yeah, thanks for jumping in again, bro. He said, totally forgot I was on my other account, Chaos the Mega Monarch, between the Chiefs and the Ravens. Who gets in? I think the Colts knock out the Chiefs next week. I really don't. I think the Chiefs are going to get back on the horse against the Colts, but we'll see. But what's your answer here for Chaos Josh, the boot boy, between the Chiefs and the Ravens for the playoffs?
That's tough. I don't, really want to count either one of those teams out, but I'm telling you, one of the teams to watch, don't count out the Texans.
Yep.
Don't count out the Texans. They probably have a little bit easier schedule and they're playing pretty well right now. So, I think I wouldn't count the Texans out of this. The Ravens are so dependent on Jackson, who, is he back? They're super dangerous, but I don't think they've been playing. They've won 4 in a row: Bears, at Dolphins, at Vikings, at Browns, after losing Lions, Chiefs, Texas, Rams. So they're one of those. They're a legit 5-5 team.
Yep.
They've beaten some teams they should beat. They've lost to some good teams. It's just they all seem to be clustered, so they look really streaky. So I'm here to party. Who the heck is this guy? Mblex Test Prep, man.
Yeah, buddy. Good to see you.
I know he's here to party, so good to have you.
Yeah,
but who gets in? Colts KO the Chiefs. I wouldn't count out the Texans, man. I really wouldn't.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how that AFC South is shaping up, because we just got done talking about the Colts sitting at 8-2, coming off a bye. Jaguars just blew out the Chargers, 6-4. Texans are nipping right at their heels. As Scott just said, they're 5-2 in their last 7 games. That's an interesting division, especially, Scott, as you look at those teams' remaining schedules, respectively. So it'll be interesting. But the Ravens, believe it or not, they're only 1 game behind the Steelers in the AFC North. So they still have everything to play for. The Chiefs, though, is where it's
the Ravens could get in that way for sure.
That's one way. The Chiefs, though, it's like, if they lose one more, do they lose their heart? Because they're already 4 games basically back from the Broncos.
Yeah, Colts at Cowboys, Texans, Chargers at Titans, Broncos, Raiders. It's no cakewalk of a schedule for them either, and that's the way it should be when you've got the number 1 type of schedule. It's supposed to be hard. I mean, they put in artificial constructs to punish you for doing well and try and prop you up for doing bad. It's kind of opposite of what we normally think.
Hey, Pearl, we're pretty much through the vertical feed testing phase, so thanks for staying with us. And it's looking like we're going to just keep it with the old way we've always done it, with the landscape, just because we have such a dedicated, built-in, awesome community that's just used to things a certain way. And just because we do it that way, the old way, so to speak, doesn't mean we can't grow. So stay patient. Thank you for being with us. You're a dear member. We love you. Okay, let's see what Ronk says here. I was hearing that the AFC teams would not want to play at Empower Field at Mile High in the playoffs if the Broncos get the 1 seed. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough place to play. They've won 11 straight at home, longest current active home winning streak as well. And then, look what they did to the Chiefs. The Chiefs were favored in that game. Yeah, it's never been, pardon me, a very hospitable place to play for teams, just because of the 2 factors, right? Because of the thin air, and then, of course, Broncos fans just being loud. But in the playoffs, if you have the home field advantage, it becomes even more daunting. So, yeah, no one wants to, but they will if they must. They'll come play and face the Broncos. They'll have to be ready.
I tell you, I'd want to get out there early. if I knew I was playing the Broncos, let's say Broncos have a number 1 seed, I'd want to get out to Colorado Springs or Fort Collins or something, and I'd want to be out there all week because it makes a difference. Y'all know if you've been, not everybody's been to Denver that's a Denver Broncos fan, I know, but just being there a week ago and watching my son play baseball, who's in phenomenal shape, he's like, it got me. We were I think 7,000 feet in Colorado Springs, and he's like, as he's out there trying to play, he's like, it got me. So, what gets me though, Chad? This guy, Dale, it is awesome to see you. Thank you so much for the love. You've been just an incredible Mile High Huddle host to this guest here. So thank you so much. Dale says, DW out of Hawaii says, good to see you, Scott, bringing the knowledge again. Happy to see this past Sunday's signature win against Mahomes. What would be even more satisfying is do it in their house later in the schedule. We're still not playing clean at our best. Broncos for life. Yeah, the 10 penalties.
Yeah,
and it wasn't just a 10. The Chiefs had 10 also. It was 100. I don't know that I've ever seen 167 yards, 163, 167.
Yeah.
160 plus yards. I don't know I've ever seen 160 plus yards of penalties in my life, Chad. That was insane. Well, that happens with a couple of long pass interference ones.
The Riley Moss thing, which, he's, for the first time, he's really addressed it, saying, I got to get that figured out. I mean, the 2 PIs, and then he wiped a pick 6 off the board of Jahdae Barron with a defensive holding. 2 of them were ticky-tack, but he's got to know by now that he's in the crosshairs, and he's just got to play it a little bit cleaner. But, yeah, isn't that wild, D-Dub? The Broncos have won 8 in a row. They're 9-2. They have the best record in the NFL, hitting their bye week. And they still probably haven't shown us their cleanest or best complete, most complimentary collective performance. So if Sean Payton can get to the bottom of these daggum penalties, I mean, it's one week after another. Last week against the Chiefs, Scott, was no exception. I mean, the Broncos went into the game, what was it, ranked 31st, second, I think. For the first time, they weren't first for like a month and a half. That for the first time they weren't first, if I recall right. They were second, but still way too many penalties. And if they can get that figured out, and Bo Nix, whatever zen he was feeling between the ears, and that whatever allowed him to kind of rise to the way he did against the Chiefs and play, he played really well throughout the game. Broncos are going to be tough to beat because, as Scott did a good job illustrating earlier in this episode, boy, oh boy, is that defense just on a whole different level. And D-Dub, love you, bro. Love you. Thank you so much for your support. You the man.
And I know it's frustrating for Broncos fans to watch these games because not only do the Broncos have the most penalties in the NFL, the teams playing the Denver Broncos have the most penalties in the NFL.
Yeah.
So it's flag happy. We'll just throwing flags all over the place. So there's who's got the most penalties? The Broncos are number 1. Who's number 2? Broncos opponents.
Yeah.
That's frustrating. Swallow your flags sometimes if you can. I mean, again, I've seen some of the stuff on Riley Moss. The holding on the pick 6 was questionable.
And away from the play.
Yeah, it was questionable. As Romo was saying, as they're saying, well, he was riding him, he's doing this. He goes, okay, now let's watch every receiver on every play and see how many times you see that and it not get called.
Yep.
As Romo was saying. And then another one was a scramble drill, where he had to come back to it. And that's bad news when you're covering that long as a corner. So that was another one. Those were the 2 I remember that I was watching. Yeah. But Dale, again, thank you for the support. And again, as much as anything, thank you for the welcome to Mile High Huddle and Broncos country.
Love you, buddy. Hope to see you tomorrow night. Guys, we're doing a special raffle tomorrow night, Thursday, for the Mile High Huddle podcast. We're going to be raffling off to the superstars in the chat this mini, what do they call it? That
helmet's sweet.
Snow-capped helmet. So hope to see you guys there tomorrow night. It's going to be a gas. By the way, B-Rad, hit those like buttons. 9 likes. Am I seeing that right? Guys, well, maybe on the vertical stream, but regardless of how you're watching it right now, YouTube, vertical, landscape, Facebook, guys, just take half a second real quick. Make sure you like the video. Helps us out a ton. For the algorithm, as they say. B-Rad, though, says, Scott, good to see you again. This defense is on par with the no-fly zone. It might be better, guys, honestly. They're on fire. A new playmaker shows up and shows out every week. I need a J-Mac jersey next. Well, careful before you do that because he's probably not long for Denver. He's a restricted free agent after this season. The Broncos will tender him. They'll keep him around. Or will they? They've got Jahdae Barron. I don't know. I think they will. But nevertheless, then after next season, they'll have to decide whether to pony up. And so anyway, I'm not trying to dissuade you from supporting the team or J-Mac or anything like that, but just factor those things in. Would you say, though, Scott, his premise here that this defense, 2025 Broncos, is on par with the world champion 2015 no-fly zone?
I didn't watch the 2015 enough to be able to make a comment on that beyond looking up some stats. So, and that's just box score scouting. So, I don't know if they were as good every week or, if they got hot, I'm ignorant on that. Apologies.
It's okay. I will tell you that I think they might be better. Now that sounds, like, heresy or whatever the word is. I'm having the brain fart, but because there were so many legends on that team, right? You had Vaughn, you had Hall of Famer and DeMarcus Ware, future Hall of Famer Von Miller, Keeb Talib, Chris Harris, all those names, TJ Ward. But this defense might be better. That's my honest opinion. Chase wants to know, by the way, guys, we're about out of time. Any burning questions, topics, supers, get them in the chat now while we still got Scott. Chase says, Scott, what are your thoughts on our draft class? So Barron, first round pick, RJ Harvey, second round pick, Pat Bryant, third, Q Robinson, fourth. We can keep going. The punter in the sixth. Your thoughts for Chase?
I think you are in the enviable position of having quality depth and veteran depth on the team that you're not reliant on your rookies. And you're able to work them in at their speed, and they're able to provide quality depth and reps when they come in. Oh, I want to see more from RJ. J.K. Dobbins was killing it. Okay. I mean, J.K. is a damn good veteran running back. Just in running back should be a fairly easy position to come in and contribute, but it's still the NFL. The leap, people don't understand the leap from college to the NFL, how big it is. We're watching Troy Franklin take the next step. That's been able to let you work Pat Bryant in slowly. I don't need him right away. Some of the defensive guys for sure. And if you spend a first round pick on a guy and he's being outplayed because that guy's playing at a first round level, it doesn't matter where you got him. McMillan's playing at a first round level. Now I can figure out, okay, how do I want to work my rookie in? I don't have to force him in there because I don't have anybody else, which is the case for a lot of other teams, especially in the secondary where you need 6 corners. So this team is well coached, deep and talented, and it is a tough roster for a rookie to break into. And that's a good thing. It's one of the reasons you're looking at a record at 9-2. It's a tough. I like to see our rookies more. I'd like to see more wins. I'd like to see 9. I like to see 9-2. I've seen plenty of teams with rookies playing. They're not 9-2.
Well said, Phil. The answer. Sorry if we didn't get you earlier, buddy. The answer is if the Broncos lose VJ to a head coaching hire elsewhere, they will get 2 third-round picks. That's the answer, my friend. D-Dub jumping in again off the top rope as we're about out of time. Dude, thank you for your generosity, big dog. Love you. He says, my daughter's new husband is a Steelers fan. First Sunday, while meeting his parents, he told her he had a jersey for her. She says, Dad, I sat him down and told him it would be good to have the conversation now. I will never wear that jersey, ever. I'm a Bronco. Love my girl. Dude, that's a proud papa moment. You raised him right. D-Dub. What an awesome thing. But sometimes that can be fun. One of my best friends growing up that I've known since we were like 8 and 9 years old. He grew up a Dolphins fan. So I was always pretending to be Elway. He was pretending to be Marino, right? In the 80s. Well, lo and behold, he marries a girl from upstate New York, and what was her favorite team, and she was passionate, by the way, Buffalo Bills. So,
Jim Kelly.
Charge it to the game, but that's really cool, D-Dub.
Yeah, that's I've been watching some of those reels on Instagram, about, and it shows some daughters talking about their dads.
Yeah.
And just like setting the example of how to treat your mom, how to treat the family, how to having the dad in their lives and how important it is to them. And sounds like you've left your mark. Proud papa for sure. Thank you, Dale.
Dude, that's so rad. I would be proud. So that's really cool. Thanks for sharing with us, D-Dub. Naj, good to see you, bro. Brothers, Super Bowl bound. Taking the fam to the Commanders game. Hopefully another dub. Be well, brothers. You too, big dog. Thank you. And I'm sure that's going to be an awesome family experience. And you don't have to wait too much longer, about a week and a half. That'll be awesome, buddy. Scott, your final thoughts here, and then we'll wind it down.
I'm so stupid. I'm looking to see who the Commanders are playing this week. I'm like, okay, you're just going to the game. I'm like, wait, they're on a bye. I was like, oh, he meant like when the Broncos play them.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Yeah.
So thank you, Naj. Yeah, it'll be a good time. Final thoughts on the Broncos. This isn't the finished product. That's what can be so exciting. They're 9-2. Are they a perfect 9-2? No, there's flaws. That's why they look to acquire new players. That's why they coach. That's why they practice. That's why they do new things every day. They have their flaws. They're not a perfect 9-2. This is not a finished product. They're a year ahead of schedule. They got money and another full set of draft picks next year. That's next year. This year, the AFC is so wide open. It wouldn't surprise me a bit to see the Denver Broncos in the Super Bowl. Why not? Who's the favorite? The Colts? Maybe. What have the Colts done in the last 15 years that make you think that they're going to be it? The Chiefs, they might even make the damn playoffs. The Ravens, when's the last time we saw them? They're sitting there at 5-5. The Steelers? No.
Bills.
The Patriots? I'm not sold on them either.
No.
I'm not sold on the Broncos. Okay. Who are you sold on? That would be my answer. Well, the Broncos are frauds. Okay, well, who's the team then? If it's not the Broncos, then who is it and why? Why are they so much better than Denver? They're not. Why not Denver?
Why not?
Those are my final thoughts. You've got the coach. You've got a good quarterback. You've got a hellacious defense, good special teams, and momentum. Those are all good things taken into December.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I agree. Naj, this will be my son's first ever game, man. I hope we show out. I think you will. You'll see the Broncos take care of business. But guys, thank you. Mile high salute. Special shout out to the great Super Chat superstars, supporters, helping us keep the lights on tonight, like D-Dub from the tippity top rope with 2 very generous Super Chats. Thank you again, brother. David Youngkin. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't see these 2 at the top. So wait a second.
Finish with them.
Yeah, David Young, it's nice to have you back, even if just for tonight, Scott. So I don't know why it didn't show up earlier, but there they are. And then also Flying Anger Pig, who I got to meet, as you can see there in his profile pic. We got to kick it with him at the meet and greet about a month back. Nice to see you, Scott. Always good to see Chad. Thank you, bro. Sorry, guys, to keep you waiting. That was a weird glitch in the system. Denver Luke, Chase Wellner.
We got him, yep.
Papa Bear, Tucson Phil, Mark Kennedy, Tyler Woodley, Josh the Chaos Merchant, or Mega Monarch. Sorry, that's what it is. And there's his second one. George Fox. Let me see. Got Chase, Naj. Love you guys. And of course, all the members, thank you for what you do. And I'm not sure when the next time you'll see Scott on an MHH podcast, but just remember, you can catch him. Remind me the days on the Falcons beat.
Oh, I went scorched earth this morning, dude.
Yeah, some tough times.
Yeah, I went scorched earth on the clown show that is the Atlanta Falcons this morning. So, but youtube.com/Scott Kennedy. I'm easy to find.
And guys, his link, so if you don't want to have to search, in the description of this video, right next to where it says the 2 host names, next to Scott's name, is not his Twitter account. It's his YouTube channel. So just click that. But anyway, always fun chopping it up and listening to your insights, brother. So thanks for taking the time tonight. And guys, we'll see Zach and I tomorrow night. Scott will be there too, but he'll be doing his producer thing. So I can never remember Zach's sign off, so I'm just going to go like this. Go Broncos.